We are here on top of Habyais, on the Mount of Olives, with a splendid view of Yerushalayim Habnuya in front of us. You see the Temple Mount behind me. You can see the Dome of the Rock, the Makom HaMikdash, the place where the Beis HaMikdash used to stand. You can see the walls around the Temple Mount. If you look carefully, you can see there is a corner in front of us there. That's the corner of the south wall. It's the shorter wall, which goes in the direction of the dark dome, and the corner of the eastern wall, which is behind me, the long wall. People often have somewhat of a lacking understanding that the Koisel HaMaravi, the western wall, is the only remnant of the walls around the Temple Mount. Over here you can clearly see that that is not true. Koisel HaMaravi has its importance because it is the closest to the Makom HaMikdash from whichever side around the Temple Mount you measure, and that's what its special importance is about in its sanctity. I'd like to show you a picture here. You can see here, Habyais. Here we have the south wall, and here we have the east wall, the temple building in the middle. This is from Tkufa Beit Sheni. That we have a little picture of Tkufa Beit Rishon. I'm going to turn this over now. As you can see over here, this is the situation in the Arab era again. The south wall and the east wall, the Dome of the Rock, and a little map here of Yerushalayim, the old city today. Now, I'd like to turn your attention now to this amazing view that we have in front of us. Yerushalayim, I said it's Yerushalayim Habnuya, right? The rebuilt Jerusalem. That's not so simple. I'd like to share with you a thought that maybe goes to these days. Can you see this? This is a picture from the 1800s. You have to imagine Yerushalayim 100 years earlier, even more meager. But it's a city just within the walls. And that's what I'd like you to keep in mind when I talk to you now, a little bit now, about a very special person. I'm talking about Reb Gershon Kitover, this brother-in-law of the Baal Shem Tov. Reb Gershon Kitover, in the beginning, opposed the Baal Shem Tov, but then became one of his Talmidim. In 1747, he came to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim, then to Hebron, and in 1753, he settled in Yerushalayim, and was nifter here in 1761. You can see the cemetery behind me. He's buried down there. Reb Gershon Kitover had an amazing thought that occurred to him here on this mountain when he looked at Yerushalayim. And for that, I'd like to read to you a pasuk. I'm actually going to try to sing it to you in the niggin that I remember from an Alte Yid from Hungary that used to do this niggin at Ne'ilah in our kehillah. Eskero Elohim be'emohayo Biroisi kol ir al tila bnuya V'ira Elohim mushpeled ad sheol tachtyo V'chol zos anu lako And it would go on. The words say, I remember you, Hashem, Elokim, the judge. Vehemayo, I'm gonna moan. Biroisi kol ir al tila bnuya, seeing every city rebuilt over its ruins. But the city of Hashem, the city Elokim, city of Elokim, mushpeled ad sheol tachtia, it is downtrodden until the bottom of its foundations. And nevertheless, we haven't given up hope. ve'einenu, and our eyes are looking forward to the redemption. Rav Gershon Kitover, like all of us, would say this piyut, would cry this piyut during Ne'ilah. But when he came here in 1747 and he saw Yerushalayim rebuilt, already not so much a city in ruins, still just within the confines of the walls of the old city in those days, he got a whole different understanding. His understanding was something along the lines of when he saw the beginnings of rebuilt Yerushalayim and contrasted it with Habyais, with the ruins of the Beis HaMikdash, he sensed that deeper meaning. Every city, said Rebbe Gershon Kitover, refers to Yerushalayim Shalmata, Yerushalayim down here, the rebuilt city. And think of the city that he saw, how meager it was compared to today. It's a beautiful, gorgeous city today. Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, Jerusalem of gold, Shel Or, of light, Shel Nechoshet, of bronze, the beautiful city, the city of brick and mortar. Ve'ir Elokim, what's Ir Elokim? Ir Elokim, that's Habyais. And you know, Habyais, it looks special. You got a splendid building up there with a golden dome. But that's Ir Elokim. Mushpelet Achol Tachtia. This is not what is supposed to be on Habyais. That refers to the heavenly city of Yerushalayim. And Rav Gershon Kitover said, you think of the cities in his days, London, Paris, Berlin. That's the cities that he knew about. I don't know if he knew about New York, how much that was of New York in those days. It was. Those cities were splendid cities. Yerushalayim was just picking itself up from the dust, starting to be rebuilt a little bit. And he said, we're rebuilding the earthly Yerushalayim. What's with the heavenly Yerushalayim? What's with Yerushalayim Shel Mala? Habyais, to fast forward now to our days. We've come so far. We've come so far. We've come back to Eretz Yisrael over 100 years ago. We've come back to Yerushalayim over 70 years ago. We've come back to Yerushalayim Hamuchedet, the reunited city, in 1967. The paratroopers were on top here of this mountain, looking down, and got the orders. Kadima, the parade, the Mizdar is going to be on top of Habyais. We're liberating the old city after 2,000 years. Did we liberate Habyais? Did we liberate Ir Elokim? The boy said we're at the Koisel. When we daven at the Koisel, it's the closest to where we can get. To get closest to the Makom HaMikdash. You go up the Kotel tunnels, you can be mamish opposite the Kodesh HaKadoshim. But you're in a tunnel. You're underground. And over there I always tell my students, my tourists, Halavai, I could give you a tour on top, but I'm not a Kohen. But we have to understand, our aim is supposed to be for Ir Elokim. How do we rebuild Ir Elokim? How do we do that? Do we do that with grandiose plans of partitioning the land or partitioning the city or who knows what else? Ir Elokim, Habyais, Shibone, Bimher V'Meinu. When you say Uvenei Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh, right? What do we mean? We say that 3 times a day. We say it also in benching, right? What do we mean by that? We mean the Koisel. It's true. I just learned recently. The walls that we have, the ruins that we have of Beit Sheni, they will become part of Beit Shlishi. But we want Binyan Yerushalayim. Ir Elokim Ushpel Dachol Tachtia. We wanted to rebuild it. but we're not going to rebuild it with demonstrations, with marches. Rebuild it in our life, in our heart, with our avodah. Yerushalayim is about avodah shebalev, and about being mefargen, about gmilos chasadim, and about being a better Jew. We want to rebuild Yerushalayim. The only way that every Jew, wherever he is, whatever he does, can help to rebuild Yerushalayim is by raising our awareness of, first of all, that we want Ir Elokim not to be downtrodden anymore, and second of all, to do it by improving ourselves, by becoming better people, by becoming better Jews, by increased Shmiras HaTorah, by increased Tefillah, relating to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we say Uvnei Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh, like, we just fly right past it, like an F-16. That's an old plane, right? What do we mean? Are we happy? Are we happy with the way Yerushalayim looks today? Are we pleased? Is that enough for us? Or are we aiming higher? Are we just Bnei Adam? Or are we Bnei Aliyah? Do we want to go up and higher?